It was one of those nights where sleep seemed like an impossible dream. The clock on my desk glowed 2:27 a.m., the faint green numbers cutting through the dim light of my room. I sat slouched in my chair, the dull hum of my laptop fan filling the silence. My eyes were dry from hours of staring at the screen, yet my fingers kept scrolling mindlessly. Social media posts blurred into each other, memes I'd already seen 3 times tonight passed by again, but I didn't stop. It wasn't that I was looking for something in particular, I just couldn't turn my brain off. 3 more hours until I had to start getting ready for work. The thought made me groan. I leaned back, feeling the stiff ache in my neck, and tilted my head until I heard that satisfying crack. Maybe I should just crawl into bed. But as soon as I considered it, my mind reminded me that I was far too restless. I'd been bouncing between Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, and back again like a hamster running in circles. It was as if my hands had developed a routine of their own: scroll, click, scroll, refresh. Eventually, I ended up in that strange loop where I kept switching between my Facebook homepage and my inbox, even though there were no new messages. I reached for my half-empty soda on the desk, took a swig, and flinched when some of it dripped down my chin and onto my keyboard. "Great," I muttered, grabbing my sleeve to wipe it off quickly before it could seep between the keys. As I cleaned, I noticed crumbs and tiny bits of snack debris wedged in the spaces. I told myself, again, that I really needed to stop eating at my computer. Satisfied that I'd saved my keyboard from a sticky disaster, I looked back up at the screen. Somehow, in the process of wiping, I'd typed a long string of random letters into Google's search bar. I almost laughed, tempted to Google my own name for the 3rd time tonight just to see if anything new had appeared. But then I remembered the time and how much I'd regret it when my alarm went off. Maybe a little sleep wouldn't be such a bad idea. I was just about to shut my laptop when something popped up in the corner of the screen. It was a small square box, plain white with a thin red border. Inside, bold letters flashed between blue and red: "This link will disappear in 60 seconds. Beneath the text, a tiny timer began ticking down. My first reaction was to roll my eyes. Obviously, it was some kind of scam. Probably the kind that promises a free phone or tablet if you give them your email address, or worse, your credit card information. But as the seconds ticked away, 45, 44, 43, I realized I hadn't closed the box. My cursor hovered near it. Curiosity began to nibble at the edges of my thoughts. Where could this link lead? I told myself not to be stupid. It could be malware, it could be a virus that wipes my files. I even reached toward my laptop lid to shut it. But then another thought slid in, quiet and insistent: what if it's something no one else has ever seen before? My heart beat a little faster as I imagined a secret livestream, a hidden video, maybe even something strange and mysterious that I could never find again. The timer hit 10 seconds. My chest felt tight with indecision. Click it or forget it forever, I thought. By the time it reached 5, my fingers were trembling slightly over the touchpad. At 3 seconds, I gave in. My fingertip tapped the link just as the countdown flashed 1. Instantly, a new tab opened. A black video player appeared, the spinning buffer wheel holding me in suspense for a few more seconds that felt like minutes. Finally, an image appeared, though it was so dark, it was almost impossible to make out. A small blinking red dot glowed in one corner, next to the word live. My eyes strained to adjust to the shadows on screen, and slowly, the faint outline of a human figure emerged. They were sitting very still, facing toward the camera, but their features were lost in the dim light. My first thought was that this was some random person streaming from their room. I leaned closer. "Hello? Can you hear me?" My voice sounded too loud in the quiet room. To my surprise, I heard it echo back a moment later through my laptop speakers. The person on screen didn't answer, they didn't even flinch. They just sat there. It reminded me of talking on the phone with someone who has their volume up so high you can hear yourself repeating in the background. A minute passed like that, me staring at them staring at me. Then, something moved. In the far corner of the frame, behind the seated figure, another shape began to take form. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, maybe a shadow shifting, but then it started to sway gently back and forth. The movement was strange, unnatural, almost too fluid and too stiff at the same time. Every muscle in my body tensed. I couldn't tell if the person in front was aware of the figure behind them, but they didn't react. The swaying stopped. The second figure went still, head tilting in quick, jerky motions, as if it were glitching. The speed of the twitching increased until it looked almost mechanical. My mouth went dry. The seated person still didn't move. I wanted to shout at them, warn them about what was happening right behind them. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my ears. Was this staged? Was it some kind of dark web performance? Or was I actually watching something unfold in real time? The twitching figure began to move forward, step by slow step, closing the distance to the chair. My eyes were glued to the screen. The seated person didn't flinch, didn't turn, didn't do anything except stare straight ahead, right at me. The shadowy figure was only a breath away from them when it suddenly crouched down, vanishing from view. I leaned in, trying to see where it had gone, my pulse thudding in my throat. When I looked back at the person in the chair, something about them had changed. They leaned closer to the camera, as though they were trying to get a better look at me. Without thinking, I leaned in too. It was subtle at first, but the realization hit me like ice: they were copying me. Every move I made, they matched exactly. My stomach dropped. I glanced up at my monitor and noticed the small green light next to my webcam on. My webcam was active. I reached up to wipe the dusty lens, thinking maybe that's why the image was so dark. But the moment the dust cleared, my blood ran cold. The person on screen wasn't just copying me, it was me. The whole time, I'd been staring at a live stream of myself, sitting alone in my room. Only, I wasn't alone. In the video, right behind me, in the dark, I could now see the crouched figure slowly rising. Before I could process what I was seeing, the stream cut to black. My hand shook as I slammed the laptop shut. My mind was spinning, trying to make sense of it. If that was a recording, it meant the figure was recorded too. If it was live, it meant the figure was here. My breath caught in my throat. I made 2 mistakes that night. The first was clicking the link. The second was looking under my desk.